It's 35 degrees Celsius in Paris today. That's nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and there is not a cloud in sight. The city feels like it's melting. Welcome to a French summer heatwave. In the past 2 decades, heatwaves, or Canicule as they're called here, have become a regular part of life in France. In 2003, a record-breaking heatwave caused over 15,000 deaths in France, mostly among the elderly and vulnerable. Since then, the country has faced multiple deadly heat waves. In 2019, Paris hit 42.6 degrees Celsius, the hottest temperature ever recorded in the capital. Now here's what surprises most visitors. In the middle of a heat wave, you won't find AC in most homes, public transport, or even cafés. Why? First, it's cultural. In France, AC has long been viewed as unnecessary and even unhealthy. There's a belief that it dries out the air, spreads germs, or causes colds. You'll often hear someone say, "Je ne supporte pas la clim." I can't stand air conditioning. Second, there's the environmental factor. France prides itself on being eco-conscious, and air conditioning has often been associated with high energy consumption and pollution. So many people prefer alternatives, shutters, fans, or just sweating it out. Third, and perhaps most practically, the buildings. Most Parisian apartments are centuries old, with thick stone walls and no ductwork. Installing AC isn't just expensive, it's sometimes impossible without major renovations. Also, these buildings weren't designed for AC at all. And since they are often historically protected, you can't just slap on modern cooling systems. It's literally against the law. The tricky part, you need to put part of the AC unit on the outside of the building, which means changing how it looks. And let me tell you, getting permission for that is a whole adventure. You need approval from City Hall, and if you share the building with other owners, which is super common in Paris, you need them to say yes as well. So in the middle of a heat wave, you might walk into a bakery or a metro station expecting relief, and find none. So if you are visiting Paris this summer, this is definitely something to check before booking your apartment or a hotel. Indeed, you might assume that every hotel room, especially in a major European capital, comes with AC. But in Paris, that's not always the case. In fact, many hotels don't have air conditioning at all. Now, of course, if you're staying at a luxury hotel, a 5-star palace like the Ritz, the Crillon, or a big international chain, yes, you'll almost certainly have strong, silent AC. These hotels are designed for maximum comfort and often have newer infrastructure. But for everyone else, the situation varies a lot. In the mid-range, you'll find a mix. Some rooms will have a small wall unit, others might just offer a standing fan, and many charming independent boutique hotels, the ones in old Parisian buildings with floral balconies and winding staircases, don't have AC at all. Indeed, many Paris hotels are inside Haussmannian buildings from the 19th century, with high ceilings, tall windows, and beautiful stone facades. And as I explained earlier, they weren't built with central AC in mind. And because these buildings are often historically protected, it's hard or even illegal to install the kind of ductwork or exterior units needed for modern air conditioning. Second, France has strict environmental laws and energy efficiency goals. Installing AC isn't just expensive, it also raises a building's energy consumption. Some hotels thus opt for a more eco-friendly label instead, relying on fans, shutters, and cross-ventilation, which works in spring, but not when it's 38 degrees Celsius in July. And third, until recently, Paris didn't have frequent, intense heat waves. AC was seen as something Americans insisted on, but not really necessary here. That perception is changing. Now more and more travelers and even locals are realizing that summer in Paris can be brutal without it. And yes, hotels are starting to adapt. So what should you do? Before you book a room, check carefully. Look for the word climatisation or air conditionné. Those mean real AC. And don't be fooled by words like ventilation, ventilation, or fan included. And definitely read the reviews. If multiple people mentioned no AC or unbearable heat, you know what to do. If you're still unsure, just call the hotel directly. It could save you a very sweaty night. Because, let's be honest, that cute attic room with a view of the Eiffel Tower, not so dreamy when it feels like a sauna by 10 p.m. So, after the tragedy of 2003, France realized that it needed to take heat waves seriously. Since then, the government has set up a national heatwave plan called Le Plan Canicule. It kicks in every summer and includes things like public cooling stations, outreach to elderly and vulnerable populations, water distribution in public places, and warnings on TV, radio, and mobile apps. Cities like Paris also open cool zones in libraries, town halls, and community centers. Some parks extend their hours, and misting stations are set up in popular areas. Paris City Hall has a full plan in place to help residents and visitors to stay safe and cool. Let's take a look at what they do. First, they open what are called îlots de fraîcheur, or islands of coolness. These are over 1,400 public spaces identified as naturally cooler places where you can escape the heat. They include big public parks like Jardin du Palais Royal, Parc Montsouris, or Parc Martin Luther King, which stay open day and night during extreme heat. Also on the list are churches, libraries, and museums, buildings that often stay cool thanks to thick walls and old architecture. And believe it or not, cemeteries. And scattered across the city, you'll find misting stations and public fountains where you can cool off for free. Second, Paris has created a real-time interactive cool map available on the official website. This map helps you locate the nearest misting stations, green spaces, and public buildings with AC. Also the closest drinking water fountains. You can search by neighborhood and by type. It's quite easy to use and updated regularly. Third, Paris has a special program to protect vulnerable populations called the Reflex Registry. It exists for people aged 60 and over and people with disabilities. So in the event of a heatwave plan activation, you may be contacted in complete confidentiality by authorized City of Paris agents who will make sure everything is all right. And finally, Paris adapts its public spaces during the heat. A number of parks and gardens stay open until midnight, and some libraries or community centers open climatized rest zones where anyone can come in, sit down, and cool off. So yes, heat waves are tough, especially in a city built long before air conditioning. But Paris is getting organized. A few years ago, a friend of mine was visiting from New York, and the moment we entered a metro train, she looked at me and said, "No air conditioning?" For the coolest possible journey on public transport, it's best to take the following metro lines: 1, 2, 5, 9, 11, and partially 14. These lines are equipped with so-called refrigerated ventilation. We'll come back to it later. If these lines unfortunately don't work for your journey, you can opt for Paris metros equipped with forced mechanical ventilation: 4, 7, 8, 13, and again partially 14. The air isn't cooled, but they're more bearable than lines with simple natural ventilation. By the way, Île-de-France Mobilité, the official public transport company, aims to replace all metro cars by 2035, which will all be air-conditioned. But if you don't want to wait until 2035 to visit the City of Lights, just stick to the metro lines I've mentioned before. This being said, Parisian transport isn't truly equipped with air conditioning. In Paris Metro, 3 systems are installed. First, there's refrigerated ventilation, which is the closest to the air conditioning we know. It's a system that cools the outside air by a few degrees, as it's ventilated inside the train cars, and it's less energy consuming than conventional air conditioning. Then there is so-called forced mechanical ventilation. It's a system that sucks up the hot air inside the train car and expels it outside, while drawing in cooler outside air. All of this thanks to electric fans. Other trains are simply provided with natural ventilation, meaning ventilation that only comes from existing air currents between the interior and exterior of the train, created particularly through roof openings. Unsurprisingly, these trains are the ones likely to be the hottest in midsummer. So why there is no AC in the Parisian metro? Air conditioning for underground isn't the chosen solution because it has a strong environmental impact, consumes a lot of energy that reappears as heat, all of which is inevitably expelled into the tunnels and platforms. Moreover, it's not suitable for regular door openings. But there is good news. All tramways are air-conditioned in Île-de-France, the Parisian region. So there's a useful trick to help you plan your route in the Paris region while taking the coolest transport. The app called City Mapper, which is one of the essential apps for holidays and travel, offers an with AC function when you search for a route. It appears below the main suggestions if your journey allows it. However, be prepared for more detours and changes. So, what do Parisians do to survive the heat? Well, it's a mix of tradition, creativity, and a little bit of suffering. First, people close shutters, les volets, during the day to keep the heat out. Then they open windows at night to let cooler air in. Fans are another popular option, and some even create DIY AC units with frozen bottles of water in front of the fan. For another trick, let me cite an 82-year-old Ghislaine. In the morning, I fold my sheet into a plastic bag and put it into the refrigerator. And in the evening, I make my bed with it just before going to sleep. Guaranteed freshness. Of course, cold showers become a daily ritual, and meals shift to lighter fare, salads, fruits, and chilled drinks. The apéro move outdoors late in the evening, when it finally starts to cool down. You will also see people flocking to public fountains, riversides, or shaded parks. Children splash in the misting stations, and adults soak their feet in fountains, which is technically forbidden but rarely punished during a heat wave. And more people are investing in portable AC units. They are not very efficient, quite noisy, but can save you during a few days of hell. So if you're in Paris this summer, hydrate, slow down, and maybe bring your own fan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more stories about life in France. À bientôt, au revoir!